gymnastics. There are 4 individual disciplines. The hoop, which may be wooden or plastic, should be kept in constant motion and always in character with body movements. Points are lost when the hoop gyrates, wobbles or loses symmetry. Clubs have dynamic character and are thus the most difficult apparatus to perfect. They must move throughout the routine, and while they're the hardest to perfect, they have great potential for exciting and spectacular visual effects. The ribbon is perhaps the most familiar piece of apparatus to viewers. It's also the most popular with the gymnasts. Ribbon routines have been described as fleeting sculpture in the air. The ribbon is 20 feet long and once again must have continuous motion. Performances with the rope should be spirited and lively and must include elements of skipping and jumping with optional swings and tosses. The rope is of hemp or similar limp material with its length normally determined by the gymnast's height. It too must have continuous flowing fall. And the first competitor, Hiroko Yamazaki from Japan. 22 years old, 4 times Japanese champion, 12th at the World Champs in Munich in '81, has had 7 years in this competition and is the current Japanese champion.
Has opened her routine in a very dynamic way. Obviously she's enjoying herself, and that's the most important feature of the sport. There must be enjoyment. There's a small break there, more than a small break. That was very unfortunate. Notice that this piece of apparatus, although it is soft and very flexible, must be swung, and all the patterns and the swings must show good form, the tautness in the rope. We have a slight change in her routine, slight change of tempo. Acrobatic element near the end of her exercise, a delightful exercise by Hiroko Yamazaki.
9.25, and she came here as one of the champions. She's followed by Michelle Berube of the United States. She's 16 years old.
She's a young up-and-coming gymnast from the United States, extremely flexible, showing good promise. Unfortunately, she made quite a large error at the beginning of her exercise, about a 0.3 penalty. It's an extremely difficult piece of apparatus. It's very hard to see, very light coloured. It's very important that she show that she can move through different light and shades of expression. She's moving her body softly and soulfully, and then away she goes again.
Had a great deal of experience for a 16-year-old. Was in the United States team in 1980, 81 and 82. Comes from Rochester in Michigan.
There's quite a few form breaks in this routine. Very, very disappointing right now. She has been coached by the Bulgarians, who are, of course, the world leaders in the sport. Another break. It was a very, very difficult move, catching the rope behind her back. A very unusual exercise, well performed, but unfortunately about 3 major breaks.
And paying the penalty, 8.55 for Michelle Berube. And now one of the darlings of this championship, certainly in practice, has been very popular all over. Laurie Fung of Canada, who's 19.
is really getting into the spirit of things. She's obviously enjoying herself. There's a big smile over her face. Very fast, quick, dynamic moves. It's incredible what they can do with the rope.
And again, Marion, very experienced internationally. She's competed in Czechoslovakia, Monaco, Los Angeles, Munich. And went to the 1982 national champs and was first all-round.
Yes, this experience really shows in competition. Obviously, she can get out there and relax. She's done hours and hours of practice, but as well, when it matters, she can get out there and show herself off. I think the audience are really loving this. She's really selling it. Lovely, lovely routine, Laurie fun.
Well, it's not as good as Hiroko Yamazaki with 9.25, but 9.10 is still a good score. And now Valerie Zimring from the United States, 17-year-old.
Val's been performing this sport for many years. Very, very clever with the apparatus. Has it several times, had back injury, leg injuries, but has persevered and is working beautifully on the floor.
And again, Marion, amazing international experience at 17 years old. She's represented the United States in Bulgaria, France, Austria, Brazil, Germany and Czechoslovakia.
An unfortunate break there. Very difficult move, catch behind the back. With the apparatus, passes out of vision. And here we have a pre-acrobatic move. Gymnasts are not allowed to perform acrobatic elements as such, but near acrobatic elements are allowed. Very expressive work. Expression on her face and her eye focus is exceptionally good. Another catch behind the back. Very interpretive of the music. Very dramatic ending. Nice exercise.
And the second successive 9.1. Valerie Zimring from the United States, 9.1, followed by Michio Ota from Japan.
Michio Ota, our reigning or our current champion, four-continent champion, hasn't been working out very successfully in the preliminary rehearsals. We'll see how she does.
She's 24 and has been in rhythmic gymnastics 10 years.
Working very nicely with the music. Japanese have brought their pianist, one of the leading pianists in Tokyo. All these pieces have been composed especially for them. It was an unfortunate drop, will cost her 0.2, 0.3. Very novel way of wrapping the rope around the body and re-grasping. Originality is very important in this sport. There are marks awarded for original novel moves. So the girls are looking all the time for new ways of working through and around the apparatus. Very, very good.
Slightly better than the previous two performers, 9.15, which gives us a result in the rope of Tomoko Tomita from Japan, 9.3 is first. Hiroko Yamazaki is second with 9.25, and Japanese second and third. First, second and third, should I say. Michio Ota, 9.15. The first of the hoop competitors is Maria Luisa dos Santos from Brazil.
Maria is a more mature gymnast. The sport encourages girls to continue the sport into their 20s. She didn't begin until she was about 16, 17. Brazilians have a style all of their own. Well, that was an unfortunate error. Right out of the floor area will cost her at least a half a point. They're very spirited performers. The hoop is an apparatus that most gymnasts enjoy. They can take hold of it, it's solid, and change the direction of it fairly easily. Working with very good extension. Slight gyration in the hoop, which will cost her a point or two.
This is her first major international competition.
And a very, very unusual ending, very striking. Some unfortunate breaks.
But a low score, 7.9 for Maria Luisa dos Santos. And she's followed by, again, one of the favourites. The Japanese are all favourites to some extent in this competition. Michio Ota in her hoop routine.
We can see evident in Michio's exercises how she involves the body, the trunk, the upper body completely. Expression throughout the entire body, and the apparatus is an extension of that expression. Very neat little pass behind the back. Oh, well, that was unfortunate and very rarely seen in the champions, but even the champions can make errors.
We may see a replay of that little break from Michio Ota. It's certainly going to cost her at least a place, I would think. The scoring's been very tight.
Michio Ota can't afford to make mistakes. She's been under great strain and pressure. There's several of the Japanese team who are just as good. Very elegant, stylish. Oh, and a little loss of balance at the end.
Well, 8.75 tells the story. Let's have a look again and see if we can see where that break came. But 8.75, I would think, is going to cost Michio Ota quite a lot.
So we can see she tosses there. She's watching. She didn't take her eye off the hoop. Had some idea it was going off line. Snatched it quickly away from the table and straight on with her routine, which is the mark of a champion. She's experienced. Not too much of a break, but at least a half a point. And still a smile on the face. The rest of the exercise is just as important.
Well, that's a bit of a shame for Michio Ota. She is followed by one of New Zealand's top competitors, Debbie Loney from Auckland, who's 18 years old and coached by Emmy Bellwood.
Debbie's working very well, nice and bright, lively. New Zealand girls aren't as experienced in competition, international competition, desperately need this kind of a meet in order to get further afield. Slight break there.
She began artistic gymnastics at 9 and rhythmic gymnastics at 15. She's been around the world a little bit too, representing New Zealand.
Yes, Debbie's been one of our very, very strong group competitors. This is her first year in individual competition. She's doing extremely well. Now that was an extremely difficult move, a double roll under the toss, and oh, what a pity. After she had the difficult element, lost the hoop. The precision and the coordination in a sport like this is so great. Concentration is important at all times. These tosses that come off the hand go 30, 40 feet high into the air. There must be some movement done underneath. Good performance by Debbie. A couple of nasty breaks there, but other than that, she performed very well.
And 8.35 for Debbie Lodi of New Zealand. And another New Zealander to follow, similarly dressed, Angela Walker, again from Auckland.
Angela's only 15 years old. This is her first international event as an individual or in group for that matter.
She again is coached by Amy Bellwood.
She's doing beautiful extension and a cute little move. Not many people can do that. Flip over the hands. Very agile gymnast. Looking as though she's enjoying herself out there as well too. Movements must pass from one hand to the other. There must be work done in the right hand and the left hand. It must be balanced. You can see her passing a hoop from one hand to the other.
Been competing in rhythmic gymnastics since she was 10.
Another way of finishing. Very nice routine.
And slightly better, Marion, than her compatriot, 8.65 for Angela Walker. And now Canada's Kendra Adam. 17-year-old, quite tall, 5 feet 9. She's had 7 years' experience. She's a varsity student. And again has been around the world quite a lot for a 17-year-old.
Canadians are lucky in having a Romanian living with them now, coaching them. You can see this is very evident. Their work over the last year or so, they've improved tremendously. Kendra has a very good ability with her apparatus handling. Graceful, elegant lines. That was an interesting kick back off the foot. She's taking a lot of risk. And also another very difficult and superior element, the spinning of the hoop around the foot while doing a backward roll. The only thing that she's lacking in this exercise is full-bodied trunk movement. Shoulders, she's a little stiff and rigid in the shoulders. The expression is a little lacking. Very, very good ending.
And 9.2 puts her second at the moment in the hoop exercise. Kendra Adam from Canada, 9.2. And this is a lady who could topple that score if she's on form, Hiroko Yamazaki, who has looked the best of the Japanese.
Yes, Hiroko has been looking very, very good in the rehearsal sessions. She's a little bit more flexible, supple than her teammates, and she looks relaxed. Very dynamic, fast opening. Japanese can move very, very quickly. Another very high toss. Once again, the apparatus must enhance what the body is doing. It cannot be worked separately apart from the body expression. high toss. It's working very, very well. Showing great contrast of movement and style. A very elegant finish.
And there's the score, 9.35 for Hiroko Yamazaki, who eclipses Kendra Adams' score and now goes to first overall, having had a second in the rope exercise. And now Tanya Moss, supposedly the number one of the New Zealand team, although that may change with the form that they show today.
Yes, Tanya is our current national champion. Spends many hours in the gym, perfecting the movements that she's learned off video and in visiting other countries. She's working quite nicely now. Finishing her moves, extending her body. Very long legs and finely arched feet, which she in the future will show off even more. Whoops, a slight stumble, but I don't think enough to cause her too much in the way of penalisation. No major breaks yet. That, Tony, was a very original and surprising move, and I think that should help her right at the end of her exercise. Yes, commendable exercise for Tanya Moss.
Well, you must be pleased with that as the coach, Marion. 8.85. Tanya Moss of New Zealand. Having a look at it again, there were some quite original pieces in there.
Yes, she's got good control of the whole exercise. She's not aiming for super great difficulties, although she does have plenty in her exercise. At this point, she knows that to compete against the Japanese, she must secure her routines cleanly, good amount of polish. Very nice split leap. Supple, very, very supple in the hips. And there we have it, a little bat off her ankle. A risky element to have right at the end of the routine. Another tricky little catch here. Not easy, and the difficulty level picked up her scores for her.
And so, in the hoop, Hiroko Yamazaki with that 9.35 takes the lead. Valerie Zimring of the United States second with 9.25, and third equal Kendra Adam of Canada with 9.2, and Tomoko Tomita of Japan 9.2. Again, the Japanese featuring very strongly indeed. And now to the clubs. Hiroko Yamazaki, who's looking like a leader overall.
Yes, she certainly is a crowd pleaser, and we can see that she's relaxed, and she certainly is on form. She has a very effervescent quality about her. And there she is, a little bit of drama, just to grab your attention. This apparatus is very difficult. The gloves can slide out of your hand very, very easily. We have a double toss, superior value, and a slight miss, which she covers up very, very well. Characteristic moves of the club are very, very small and fast circles. We see increasingly, though, a great number of tosses high into the air. Double toss, finished in the back arch. Good lot of difficulty in this routine. Good lot of spirit. And a finish right to the judges. Nice routine, a couple of breaks, though.
9.05 for Hiroko Yamazaki. And now her greatest competitor, thus far anyway, Laurie Fung of Canada, who's had two excellent scores in rope and hoop, at the moment lies second overall by my calculations. Hiroko Yamazaki looking like the lady to beat, but Laurie Fung really is a crowd pleaser.
Yes, this is an up-and-coming girl. We haven't seen her too much before. She's been around over the last few years on the international scene, and over this last year she's made tremendous progress. We've all been watching her in warm-ups. Works very quickly, but seems to be able to extend, get full extension very, very quickly. The joy and the happiness is coming through. What she's doing just right there is not particularly difficult, but she has such fun in doing it. I think her choice of music is very suitable too. Too much high drama out there, it doesn't come across well. Life and gaiety is the story. Difficult catch to finish. A delightful exercise.
And what a score. 9.35 for Laurie Fung of Canada.
Well, she'll be delighted with that.
Now that's going to make the lead very interesting indeed, Marion, because Laurie Fung has certainly looked like the crowd pleaser, has certainly looked like she's getting more enjoyment out of it, and a couple of times has been eclipsed in terms of score, but this time she's topping the bill.
Yes, she's not only performing in a very spirited manner, but she's also not making the errors. And in the top few, it'll be those that make the mistakes that will have to drop. We have to remember too that the judges are human. They will respond to the same things that the crowd respond to. There's a couple of very novel throws under the legs, and they're not as easy as they look. And now look at this, Tony, from between the toes, over the head and into the hand. Beautiful routine. That's what it's all about.
Valerie Zimring from the United States has looked good but had a couple of drops and a couple of disappointments in her scores. She'll be looking for 9 or better here.
And Val is exceptionally gifted with this apparatus. Oops, and a very unusual drop for Val. See how she's handing the clubs as though she was born with them. Rather saucy little piece. Gymnasts have to show that they're able to perform in a spirited way and also in a very sophisticated manner. Another very unfortunate drop. She's watching that carefully right into the hand.
And she's not going to be in the 9s, Marion.
No, and there we go again. No, she has made some very large breaks in this routine. What a pity. Very, very difficult roll and double catch there. Very difficult finish. Well, a lovely exercise, but the errors were made. She'll have to pay for them.
So 8.5 the score, which effectively puts her out of the competition in terms of top places after Laurie Fung with 9.35.
I marvel at the ability of these girls to put their mind onto the next piece of, or their next element after they've made an error. The concentration and the mental agility that's there is so apparent. You can see it on her face. One of the most highly coordinated sports.
That one clipped her on the shoulder.
Yes, as usually happens, it's the delivery that's at fault. She could tell as it left her hand, it was not in the right trajectory. Very, very fine gymnast, one that the United States can be proud of.
And all of the years of hard work can come to that if you make a couple of drops in this level of competition. 8.5 over Valerie Zimring, followed now by Wang Zirong of China.
Wong's second international competition. Oops, another break there. Very, very difficult throw, though, catching the clubs alternatively. A little bat off the foot.
Marion, I wonder if people know that the People's Republic of China are very new to this competition.
They've been doing this for about 2.5 years only. But as usual, anything they do very thoroughly and very well. Girls had trouble persuading the government to send them to this competition. So we hope that they do well so that the government can be encouraged and the sport can be encouraged. Very, very good double toss and horizontal plane. This girl certainly has a skill. It's necessary. A little flick back toss, and again. Nice leaps, open leaps. Chinese are very flexible, have very loose hips. Very difficult ending it. Double throw to finish. She should get a very good score for this.
9.15 for Wang Zirong, People's Republic of China. Not good enough to beat Laurie Fung. 9.15, followed now by Kendra Adam of Canada, who again will be looking for 9 or better to get herself back in the competition.
She's working very well, has a very good grasp of the technique and club work. The judges are looking that the body work is open and extended and completed, and that the techniques are correct in club work. All the club spins and pivots are done through the fingertips. A little stiff, but as I say, the apparatus handling is a very high quality. Very, very good to see the Canadians working with such a good standard. Double toss into a back scale of superior element. She certainly can do everything with clubs. Oh no, right at the end of the routine. And she has enough experience and good sense to finish with a hand on the apparatus.
So 8.8 for Kendra Adam of Canada, and now it comes to a battle between Laurie Fung of Canada and the Japanese. This time it's Michio Ota, who wins in the clubs 9.4, Laurie Fung 9.35, and Tao Yu from the People's Republic of China 9.25. So overall that makes competition interesting, with the ribbon remaining. First up in the ribbon, New Zealand's Angela Walker.
Now, this is Angela's favourite event. She works fairly freely. Very, very good upper body expression. All she has to do is to hit a clean routine, avoid being tangled in the ribbon. Working nicely through the body. Her rope patterns are a little loose. Patterns must be very clean. If the small circles are small, they must be small. If they're large, not in between. You see an interesting little toss of the baton up into the air. The grass must be very clean. I say the body work's good. Some slight tangles of the ribbon, which will cost a tenth of a point.
There was some talk before the competition, Marion, that the New Zealand girls wouldn't be up to scratch, but they've been far from disgracing themselves in every aspect.
From being very inexperienced in this calibre of competition, they're working very, very well. In fact, in a way they're making fewer errors than some of the more experienced ones. They may not be taking the risks, but they're showing up beautifully.
8.65, a very respectable score for Angela Walker of New Zealand. And now, Hiroko Yamazaki, who must be a favourite for overall honours, along with Laurie Fung of Canada. Hiroko Yamazaki has been most colourful, almost perfect in everything she's done, and very inventive.
It's a very fiery, spirited opening. And the ribbon, which is 20 feet long and at the moment tie-dyed, is working wonderfully well, very fast. The wrist never stops moving.
The strobing effect of the black and white stripes on the ribbon may make it look quicker, but Hiroko Yamazaki moves it very, very fast indeed.
Yes, the patterning of her ribbon, I think, is one of the strong points of her exercise right now. Very, very clean. Very difficult routine. As I say, the wrist never stops. Never stop to take a pose. Very agile little move. Now the music's sped up and she's following it all the way around in a circle. A very effective passage. And a very striking finish. A lovely finish for a lovely routine.
A good exercise, well rewarded, 9.4 for Hiroko Yamazaki. And really now she must be the competitor to beat overall. She's had such good scores, and a 9.4, somebody's going to have to get a 9.5 or a 9.45 to beat her, I think.
Yes, this is a mark of a champion. She's taking all the risks. She has a very high level of difficulty. She seems very relaxed in that she can present it. No strain around the shoulders and face. And she's very consistent, no matter what apparatus. See that wrist moving all the way, never stops. The wrist stops, the ribbon dies. Very, very springy legs. Round and around. Open leaps.
And now, Tao Yu from the People's Republic of China, who's had scores a little disappointing. Again, she'll be looking for better than 9 to be in the competition at all, but Hiroko Yamazaki of Japan certainly looks like the competitor to beat. A 9.4 for an excellent exercise.
Chinese are working very, very well. Put many hours into the 2 years they've been doing this sport. A lot of their work is fairly stereotyped. They've been learning off video and from other countries. In another couple of years, I'm sure they'll be the ones to beat. It's extremely effective the way they're using an Eastern theme to her music.
And the Chinese, like the Japanese, have their own pianist.
Yes, the pianists are very accomplished concert pianists. Spend many hours in the gym. The pianist and the gymnasts all go to the same university, work in the same gym. It's an ideal setup. See a few form breaks in the Chinese. The arm that is not using the apparatus is not being used efficiently. That's a very, very nice move. Very, very good routine.
And 8.8, which again is not enough to put her in contention overall. But a nice exercise.
We see the Eastern flair again on the leotards, Tony, the painted leotards, the flower in the hair. Very beautiful. Elegance and beauty are very important in this sport. A lot of care is taken with the way the gymnast is presented. As you see, they're very finely built, most of them, and very, very slim, to the point of actually being thin. Chinese and the Japanese have very, very stringent discipline in their training. Their diet is watched the whole time. Very pretty routine.
Tao Yu from the People's Republic of China, and 8.8 was her score.